Hey everyone, Dave Dubeau here with another episode of the Property Profits Real Estate Podcast. Today, zooming in all the way from near Charleston, South Carolina, we've got Mr. Frans Calderon. Frans, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Dave. Thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure to be part here and bring something on contribution for your audience.
Well, that's what it's all about, my friend. So first of all, for those that aren't familiar with Frans, he's originally from Colombia, and he moved to the United States in 2008, took massive action, bought his first property in 2009, hasn't looked back. He's got over 50 rental units in his portfolio, focusing on multifamily properties these days, growing like nobody's business. And to keep himself even busier, he started up a real estate investment association, or he's taken over a real estate investment association. So he's a busy guy. So Frans, yeah, it's great to have you here. And again, hats off to you. I always love interviewing people that come from other countries and make an incredible success for themselves in North America, when quite a few North Americans don't get off the rusty dusties and do much of anything. So congratulations.
Thank you so much, Dave.
All right. So, Frans, why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got started? What inspired you to get involved in real estate investing, and what kind of deals do you focus on primarily these days?
Okay, so actually I get inspired with real estate was because I was a police officer back in Colombia. And one day I was in a mission, I was with the helicopters, went to a mission to a small town. And we stayed there for a couple of weeks. So one day, as a friend, hey, you have a book that I can read? And he said, yeah, friend, maybe this book, you're going to like it. And the book was Rich Dad, Poor Dad from Robert Kiyosaki.
Ah, the purple book. What's it called in Spanish? Did you read it in English or in Spanish?
In Spanish. In those days, I read it in Spanish.
Uh-huh.
And the good about it was, I start to read the book and I get so engaged, so passionate about it. And that I couldn't stop. I want to keep reading and reading. And when we came to the point where he said, okay, now I want that you stop reading, do the list of the assets that you have, and then come back to reading. So I did that exercise. I put in a piece of paper, very small piece of paper, my assets. And they continue reading. And he said, okay, if you put things like your stereo, your bed, your clothes, your shoes, all of that, none of that are assets. And everything that I put in that piece of paper that I thought were assets was exactly that. So the conclusion was I have zero assets. Zero. I don't have any assets in those days. But that changed my mindset. I learned what was an asset, a liability. When he said that real estate. Yeah, I have doodads right there.
Yeah.
And when he started to say how you can start to get financial freedom, was investing in real estate, I was like, oh my God, I need to do it. So then I start to learn more about it and starting the real estate. Actually, my first deal was back in Colombia. We purchased a property with my sister. We fixed it up and we sold it. So we did it right there. And I was like, okay, that's good. It's possible. It's real. Something that we can do.
And what year was that, Frans?
That was around 2007.
Okay, very good.
I would say 2007. And then I have the opportunity to come to United States. So I came here. And then my passion about real estate was there, So I say, I need to learn how to do real estate here. But I was learning how to speak English at the same time. So I get the opportunity to go to one of the Rich Dad seminars. But I was afraid to take the training because for me, it was hard to understand everything that they were saying. So it was many technical words that I was missing. So I said, okay, that's not my time right now. I still need to improve my English and then try again. So then I moved to Charleston, South Carolina, and that seminar come back again. And I went there and that I was prepared. I was understanding most of the things. Still, I was missing things and I wasn't afraid to raise my hand and asking. So I was able to understand everything, but I was so happy to do the training, take the massive action, and start from there, because from there, I said, yes, this is the way. And I start to take the actions and buy my first property in around 2009.
Wow, that is awesome. So, question for you. As a new immigrant to the United States, you didn't have a credit rating, you didn't have a credit history in the country. I'm not sure what you were doing for a living. You were a police officer in Colombia, which sounds like a freaking dangerous job,
Yes, I
especially
was.
back around the time you were doing that.
Correct.
How were you able to do that first deal under those circumstances? What did that first deal look like, Franz?
So the first deal was because, as you said, I didn't have a credit because I didn't know about credit. I didn't understand the power to have a good credit. So
And you weren't here long enough to have built up good credit at that
exactly
point.
correct.
Yeah.
So I was working here in aviation. So what I was doing, I was working and saving money
Okay.
because I knew that eventually.
And sorry,
like
what were you working? What were you working in?
I was working at Boeing, the
Okay.
company that built the airplanes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was, and in those days, I have the opportunity to work many hours, doing a lot of overtime. So I say, okay, let's do it, because I'm gonna be building this on cash,
Yeah.
and eventually I'm gonna have the opportunities.
Nice.
And I remember in Colombia, I purchased the game Cash Flow from Robert Kiyosaki. So I learned how to do it actually, get some money, buy a house, sell it, and grow in that way until you can get out the rat race. Yeah. So actually, all of those lessons were in my mind. So I was working and saving money the most as possible. And when after I took the real estate training, I was working and very tired. I remember I started to do the trainings and I fall asleep. Learning how to do real estate, and it was hard because I was falling asleep because I was working about 16 hours a day.
Yeah.
So it was very hard, but I still was there. And I started to look for a deals in Craigslist. And I remember a deal came. I didn't know the neighborhoods. I didn't know the areas. I missed pretty much everything. I was just beginning right there. But I said, okay, looks like a good deal. I went to the property, was a vacant, need some work. And the seller, actually, he wasn't here. He was in Texas.
All right.
So that bring me even
the owner. Yeah.
Yeah, but actually he wasn't the owner. He was a wholesaler. But in those days, I didn't know what was a wholesaler. I have no idea. So that was some red flags right there that I have. A lot of fear in my first deal. So what I did, I hired actually a real estate agent that is from Colombia as well to guide me. So I told him, look, I want to invest in properties, buy, renting them out, or fix them and sell. And I have this deal, but I want to make sure it's legal, everything is right. So can you help me with that? And he says, Frans, I'm happy to help you. And he introduced me to the real estate attorney, that actually the same real estate attorney that I have been using since those days. And when we start to do the deal, we did the negotiation. And every time that I went to the property, I saw that the property have some improvements. And I say, why? That's kind of weird. Why they're selling a property, but somebody's fixing the house? And it was like that. But I continued the process. When we were ready to go to the closing table, actually the day before, I went to the property to see it before to purchase it, the last day. And I was fortunate to meet the contractor who was working in the property. And I asked him, hey, what are you doing in this property? And he said, what are you doing? Why are you asking me that? I say, because actually I'm buying this property, but I need to know who hired you. I need to know who is the owner. And he said, okay. At the end, he didn't want to give me information, but he said, Fran, actually, who hired me was the insurance company. Here was an incident, a fire damage in this house. So the insurance hired me to fix the house. And I said, okay. So next day, I went to the closing table. We closing the property. Everything was fine. Then when I get my keys, I went to the property and the property was 100% renovated inside.
Nice. Wow.
Imagine that. And I purchased in a significant discount. I purchased that property like around, I think it was like $40,000 or $45,000.
Wow. Wow. Beautiful.
And the property was, in those days, was worth about maybe 150. So, and I was like, oh my God, that is amazing.
I'm a genius.
Yeah, I was like, my God, my first deal was just amazing. And the only thing that I have to do was replace the roof, but everything inside was good. So I decided to rent that property. So I rented out like for 2 years. Then I moved back to the property. I went to live in the property. And in the property, looking for the tax strategies that I was learning, I say, if I live in this property for 1 year, then if I sell it, I don't have to pay capital taxes.
Mm-hmm.
So it's for that reason I moved right there. And by that year, I say, okay, what I'm going to do, I'm going to refinance because it was free and clear. So I refinance the property, I think I get about in the refinance like about 120,000. So with that money, I go ahead and invest. I purchase 2 single family homes and a fourplex.
Wow.
So right there from one house, we went to pretty much 7 houses, 8 houses, including that one. I was like,
7 units.
wow,
Yeah, 8 units. Yeah.
It's good. The gain is real.
So you were playing the game in real life. How did that compare? That 120,000 that you're able to get out of that deal. How did that compare to the kind of money you were making as a police officer in Colombia?
Oh no! That's no comparison at all. Because you know how much I was making in those days in Colombia? I was making about today's money. I was making about doing maybe $300 a month.
Yeah, I do believe it. Yeah.
In today's money, I was making like $300 a month. Imagine that.
Mind-boggling.
So for me, it was like, my God, now look, and you just have the knowledge, implement that knowledge, taking those actions, and it's real.
Exactly. So what would you say, because nowadays, Frans, I know you operate in your big part of your local real estate investment association. So you see all sorts of people coming in who are thinking about starting to invest in real estate. I don't know, a big frustration of mine is seeing so many people think about it, and never do anything about it. Why do you think that is? And what do you think makes the big difference between you and other new Americans coming to the country? What's the big difference in mentality?
So I think what is stopping most of the people is the fear. Mm-hmm. That's the thing, they have the false belief that create that fear that this is not possible, and they just get stopped right there. They cannot overcome that fear.
And why do new immigrants tend not to have that kind of fear? Why do you think that is? That's a fascinating idea. Hold that thought for a second. Hi there, this is Dave Dubeau, and real estate investors hire me to raise capital the right way. Why? Because most of them are stuck with too small of a portfolio, and they don't know how to attract investors and raise money for their deals. So I help them to connect, capture, and close their ideal money partners. Bottom line, when you've got a deal, you're going to have the capital to do it. So go ahead and book a no-cost capital clarity session with me at bookachatwithdave.com. Again, that's bookachatwithdave.com.
One reason is because so many times we have to overcome many fears to come to another country. Yeah. So, for example, when I came from Colombia to here, in Colombia, I was living with my parents, with my family. I never was living by myself.
Mm-hmm. But which is completely normal in Latin America. That's the norm until you get married. And even after you get married, quite often you stay with your family.
Correct, exactly. That's the normal right there. Yeah. So when I came here, Pretty much, I didn't know nobody. I don't have a place to live. I just came, and I have to face those fears.
Yeah.
And made my way up to find a place to live and how to eat, everything. So those experiences made you stronger to when you have to take other important decisions in your life.
Yeah.
Because I remember one day that was very hard was when I was doing my investment to purchase the real estate education.
Yeah, because that was a big price tag.
I know, yeah, it's a big investment, but I was sweating because inside of me, I know that I want to do it, but I was like, the fears was a battle inside me, fears, the passion to do it. And that was so hard that I was sweating. I was walking from one side to the other one. I said, I don't know if I want to do it or not. But at the end, I said, okay, let's do it. And that decision is one of the best decisions that I took in my life. Yeah. Because just with that education, like I say, my first deal, I make 3 times or even more of my investment. Yeah. And thank you to that education, I have been doing it over and over and over and over and over and over.
However, would you agree, Frans, that, I mean, whenever it was you signed up for that education, a bunch of other people signed up too.
Yeah.
Yet I'm going to guess that a large number of them never did anything.
Correct.
Didn't use that education. So again, what do you attribute that to? Because it boggles my mind all the time.
That is the other one, and that is the other principle that is important and have been make a big difference in my life. And I learned it from a real estate coach. That is, take massive imperfect actions. So you need to learn to be a rhino, a rhinoceros. Uh-huh. You need to just charging in front of you and don't allow that nothing is stopping you. Fear, obstacles, whatever is in front of you, don't stop. You just need to be charging with all the power. Because if you try to have everything perfect and under control, you never are going to do anything. So, is it real estate that this is our topic? If you are listening to this podcast and you are in that line, I don't know to do it or not, don't think about it. Just do it. Do it with massive action. Put all the action.
Imperfect action.
Massive imperfect action. And that imperfect is a very critical word. Imperfect means that doesn't need to be perfect. If you make mistakes, it's okay. You are going to make mistakes. Just today, look, before this, we are doing a closing tomorrow. And my assistant make a little typing mistake. And that mistake is costing us maybe $1,500.
Ouch.
Yeah. Ouch. Yeah.
Yeah. And you don't get to take it out of your assistant's paycheck either.
Exactly. It's hard to say, okay, you have to, but it's mistakes that still happen, Yeah. They still happen, even with a lot of experience that we have and everything, but that happened. And still, is this a mistake? It's fine, because keep doing it. Exactly. Because actually, Robert Kiyosaki, in the third book that he had, that is Guide to Invest, he has a chapter exclusively about talking mistakes. And he said that when you are not making mistakes, you need to worry about it, because that doesn't mean that you are not learning.
Yeah, well said.
Making mistakes means that you are learning, because if you know something, you don't know mistakes. But when you don't know something, you're making mistakes, doesn't mean that you are learning. So you need to feel proud of those mistakes. So that knowledge, that wisdom, help you to move forward, to take those massive imperfect actions, and that are going to make you successful.
Excellent. Friends, time flies when we're having fun. If people want to find out more about you and what you're up to, how can they find out about Frans Calderon?
Okay, you can look at me on Instagram as a Frans Calderon and Rock REI, in Facebook as well, Frans Calderon Rock REI, and I have the same in YouTube. We have a channel in English and Spanish, Frans Calderon Rock REI, and yeah, we love to teach people, motivate them, because actually those very good questions, Dave, that you asked me today, they were based on the mentality.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we love to work is in the people, to help them, to inspire them and change those false beliefs so they can move forward and take those actions and be successful.
Wonderful. Frans, thank you so much. Keep doing what you're doing. You are an inspiration.
Thank you so much, Dave. I appreciate it too, having me here.
All right, everybody, take care. We'll see you on the next episode. Well, hey there. Thanks for tuning into the Property Profits podcast. If you like this episode, that's great. Please go ahead and subscribe on iTunes. Give us a good review. That'd be awesome. I appreciate that. And if you're looking to attract investors and raise capital for your deals, then I'm going to invite you to get a complimentary copy of my newest book, right back there. There it is. The Money Partner Formula. You can get a PDF version at investorattractionbook.com. Again, investorattractionbook.com. Take care.